Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
Good afternoon. This is Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. It's exactly 2 p.m. My name is Lungilele Makakula. I'm with my co-host, Mgweni. How are you this afternoon,
very well.
Mgweni?
Always excited to host Nedbank Business Watch,
Yeah.
mainly because we always look at the most important developments surrounding our business ecosystem as Eswatini, but most importantly, the implications that they have on the economic growth of the country. I've seen quite a lot of those courtesy of Nedbank Eswatini, as well as a lot of other stakeholders that are just making sure that MSMEs, private sector, civil society, all the businesses that are in the country have a conducive ground to really make our economy strive as Eswatini, and that is going to be the case as well today on the show as we take and look at the lens on the firm stance that has been taken by the Governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Philip Nies, who has issued a sharp rebuke to those insinuating external influence over the bank's operations. Now, particular reference has been made to the exponent matter. It's a matter that has prevailed for quite a long time, and the governor left no room for ambiguity, categorically declaring that the central bank remains untouchable and beyond manipulation. The big question now says, what does this bold assertion mean for the confidence in Eswatini's financial governance, and how does it shape the broader narrative around central bank independence? We are going to unpack this together with Sanele Sibi, our economist, who is also going to help us understand just everything that is pertained by this development. Nelson Langamandla dived deeper into that particular development. We also want to delve into the bold and unambiguous declaration by him, again, the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Philip Nies, as he dismisses the claims of undue influence over the bank's operation, particularly the one regarding this exponent issue, underscoring, of course, the bank's unwavering independence, but also reaffirming its critical role as a bedrock of financial stability in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Yep. Good afternoon once again. And later on the program, we will be joined by Kosi Ngwenya and Sive Shabang from the SME department from Nedbank Eswatini to talk about the club savings account, also known as the Stokvel account. The Stokvel account is an account that can be opened by a minimum group of 3 people, and the opening amount is 1,000 emalangeni. This account can be used to save as a club or group of people, and the bank will assist in distributing the dividends after a period of time. Sive Shabang and Kosi will tell us more later on the program. Then our last segment, Tobaka Meta from Nedbank will analyze today's financial markets. For now, let's go straight to our first story.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Right, welcome back. It's 4 minutes after 2. If you've just tuned in, welcome. This is Nedbank Business Watch, and now for our first story.
In a historic moment for Eswatini's financial sector, the Central Bank of Eswatini has launched the first phase of the much-anticipated the Eswatini payment switch. It is a move set to revolutionize how financial transactions are conducted across the country. Now, speaking at the Central Bank complex at Eswatini during the launch, the governor, Dr. Philip Nisi, says the system will enable payment processing within seconds between local bank accounts and non-banking institutions that are already using the payment switch.
The implementation of fast payments will achieve the following objectives: facilitate systems interconnectedness and interoperability among and between banks and non-bank payment service providers. 2, it will enable payment processing within seconds instead of hours or days. This will reduce the demand for cash payments and foster a cash-light economy. It provides 24/7 availability of payment services, available at all hours of days of the week, including weekends and holidays. 3 participants will be offering fast payment services as of today, and these are Eswatini Bank, Swaziland Building Society, and E-Mali Limited. Participation in fast payments has been mandated for all payment service providers that offer local payments. The remaining participants are expected to offer fast payment services by the end of January 2025. Fast payment transactions are limited to a maximum of 50,000 for a single transaction for bank accounts and 10,000 per transaction for digital wallets. The daily limit for senders is a maximum of 50,000 emalangeni.
Chairperson of the Eswatini Bankers Association, Vuselelo Fagudze, assures bank customers of data safety and protection under the system.
This is a platform to switch transactions locally. So if you are paying, if Standard Bank is paying a customer whose account is at FNB to the value of up to 50,000, those transactions are now going to be routed through this national switch. But if you are paying a foreign payment, that will continue to go through the SWIFT platforms that all the banks are connected to, and all international payments will be able to go through that. As the governor says, it does not impact international transactions and correspondent banking relationships. Now, what are correspondent banks? Correspondent banks are the banks that help us move foreign currency. So if I'm paying dollars to a company in the US, I might route those funds through Citibank, who is a correspondent bank for Standard Bank in Eswatini. That does not change.
The central bank says all due diligence was done to ensure that the switch is cybercrime safe. However, emphasis was put on bank customers to be vigilant as they use online platforms, avoiding sharing personal financial information. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vominkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
Nedbank is gearing up towards the implementation of the Eswatini payment switch, which is meant to make local transactions between banks easier and efficient. Themba Manana, head of shared services at Nedbank, says the bank is excited to prepare for the national payment switch, which is a game-changing move in the payment ecosystem.
As a Nedbank, we are very excited with this development, especially in the payment space. It's coming with a lot of positives for our customers. It's a great development, and we are supporting it 100%. So we're working around the clock as a bank to make sure that we also comply. A lot of challenges, but definitely we are going to get in there with a great system. As we implement the national payment switch, we are going to ensure that our systems are secure. And as a bank, we've got a 24-hour surveillance of all our systems. So there's nothing that the customers should be afraid of. When it comes to security of each customer account, it's very important that as a customer, you take the responsibility and the ownership. Never share certain things that are related to your account with another person. Don't share your PIN, don't share your credentials, internet or app credentials. Most of the issues that we've experienced when it comes to payments have been related to that. Otherwise, when it comes to break into the system, we haven't experienced that. That's how secure our payment systems are.
All right, and that's it for business news this afternoon. Thank you for staying with us. This is Nedbank Business Watch.
We'll connect with Sanel Esbia virtually to discuss the payment switch. Don't worry. Come back. Welcome back to the program. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. We want to discuss a very, very important development now as we explore the bold step in Eswatini's financial evolution, the unveiling of the Eswatini Payment Switch Fast Payments Module. This is an initiative that is not just a technical upgrade, but a statement of intent, a drive to make financial services faster, smarter and more inclusive for every Swati, for you and I. With 3 providers already live and others racing to catch up, the system promises to change how we handle money, making instant transactions the new normal and setting Eswatini on a path toward a dynamic cash-light economy. Well, these are the sentiments by the Central Bank of Eswatini, and Sanel Esbia joins us now to decode what this means for business communities as well as the economy at large. Sanele, welcome to the conversation again this afternoon. An important development and an important conversation. Maybe let's start by looking at the foundations for the future, the payment switch, fast payments module, as they call it. A first chapter of a much larger story. How does this launch set the stage for transformative phases like open banking as well as ATM switching?
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. So I think what we've experienced today actually is a commitment from the central bank and the banking industry at large to work around improving, the payment system in the country, and it will actually usher us closer to a cashless economy. The first payment module is really the bedrock of what you need to go towards your open banking and to move also towards those ATM switching capabilities, because what you need is, for customers and payment service providers to assure and be able to assure the public that for transactions of this much, regardless of which bank you transact with, regardless of which app you are using for a transaction, we are going to be able to get those in real time, and we're going to have that seamless type of operation. And then, so I think this is quite critical in terms of setting the ground towards moving to open banking and ATM switching within the local economy.
Yeah, it's interesting indeed. But let's look at the economic shake-up now. Instant payments are a game changer for any economy. I think we can agree on that. But what shifts do you expect to see in how businesses operate now and how people interact with their money?
So one of the things that one would expect to come out of this initiative is number one, we should see a larger volume of transactions because now people don't necessarily have to hold cash holdings. They can transact using your other electronic platforms. So that makes the volumes of transactions a bit faster and a bit larger. So you're not going to have a situation where you're getting to a place and then you're told that we don't have this payment capability. Because what the fast payment system does is it can actually, once we've moved to open banking, it will make those payments relatively easier. So we will actually expect to see larger volumes in terms of transactions. And yeah, people are going to we're going to see yet another shift depending on how the fintech landscape changes in light of these developments. We are most likely going to see less and less need for cash money, and as we move towards a cashless economy where most transactions are happening at the click of a button, at a tap of a phone, or at tap of a card, that type of thing. So we should expect to see these initiatives change the basic configuration of commerce as we know it. And if businesses are going to get on board with this initiative, we should expect to see some growth driven by some increased demand through the transactions motive, where now it's going to be relatively easier for people to transact on their daily basis or on their daily needs. So, and as much as we're saying that, chances are we might likely see that shift to more a transactional economy and less towards that type of economy where we are now thinking ahead and speculating around certain issues and around investments, because we are going to have that the cash at our hands. But if we see those improvements within that fintech landscape, such that we would be able to see those movements into, say, for example, the stock markets and that much integration into the payment system. So we might also see other aspects of the economy moving as well, Mr. Numa.
Interesting indeed. But it also promises to connect both urban and rural communities. What's the realistic impact on closing the financial inclusion gap, especially for those who traditionally have been left out?
Yeah. No, okay. So what we are seeing is, okay, right now we are at the stage of fast payments. At that stage, you might find that there isn't much movement. But once we get more of the players on board, for example, we know that mobile money is the biggest, is the biggest service provider to the rural economy. So once we're able to have that and happening in real time, and improvements in such other things such as your Momo payments and all of those other, your Momo Pay payments and all of these other Imali payments, you will see a larger integration of the rural folks into the modern payment system. And it's actually going to get even better when we now move into open banking, because at that point we are going to see a larger integration of the financial system with a lot of these, it's going to be easy to share your transaction history and, quite a number of things. So it's going to improve that access to loans, because right now a bank, whomsoever wants to lend you money, does not necessarily have to ask you to go to MTN to print that mobile money statement if you are receiving your money through mobile money. So now that integrability and interoperability that's going to come with open banking, which comes second phase after this one, will do wonders for for financial inclusion, Mr. Nxumalo. But even fast payment systems in themselves, they are going to have quite a market impact in terms of that transaction capability, where it's going to also allow the processing of transactions across the board, and even wherever you are, you're going to be able to transact within your Imali account to the retailers, bank account in real time, because that's what fast payment system means. So it will also improve on that level of integration into the mainstream financial sector for rural folks, and it's only going to get better when we move up to open banking, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, looking forward to it getting better and, more providers, integrating, because we are hearing that some providers are ready to go while others are still integrating. So it's going to be really, really an experience to see everyone integrating. Thank you, Sandile. Thank you for your time and for your insights. We thank our viewer as well for staying with us up to this far. We have more on Nedbank Business Watch after the break.
Welcome back. Selobukela Nedbank Business Watch. Sakuvusela nalo sanza kusivulela lomhla. We are joined by Khosi Ngwenya kanye na Sive Shabangu labasuka ehlangothini loka SME Nedbank Eswatini. Sikhuluma kabanti nge-club savings account, also known as the Stokvel account. Asanivusele sinemukele lomuhla. Thank you for joining us. Sikhuluma nge-account lebalekile. Suppose ukuthi ivele isikhathi lesibalekile lesikuthi sikhulume ngayo indzaba yama Stokvel accounts ngalokho bamvuvele bayonga kakhulu imali yabo. Kumbe kusivetela nje sifombe babeshabangu sicela ngabo ukuthi yini kahle kahle le Stokvel account.
Siyabonga Lulu kusemukele emsakatweni, sibengelele balaleli nababukele emakhaya. Namhla ke njengoba soshito sibuya eNedbank sitokhuluma nge-Stokvel account, lesiyibita nge-club savings account ngalamanye amagama. I-club savings account noma ke Stokvel account lihlobo lwe-account lefuna ukuthi labantu oyivula sidinga babe 3 noma ngetulu batokhona kuvula. Siyakhamukele sikuvumela ukuthi ni save imali tenu te Stokvel noma ke lapha khona ni save khona ni group, bese ke khona nikhona ukuthi nikhiphe ekupheni kweminyaka, kanti futhi sikuvumela ukuthi nasemkhathini nje wenyanga ungakhona ukuyikhipha nesenidzinga.
Okay, ingabe njena sikhuluma njengosho nje babashabangu ukuthi vele minimum 3 wabantu. Yini letsingekile labo bamvulaba kumele ukuthi babe nema accounts eNedbank, yini kahle kahle ama requirements ekuvula le Stokvel account.
Siyabonga Lulu, umlingani wami Khosi Ngwenya utawutshela balaleli ekhaya ukuthi kudzingekela ini.
Okay.
Siyabonga Lulu. Lokudzingekako ke kulaba tawuvula le Stokvel account ne. Ngilaba labathathu laba tawusayinela le account. Umvu utane ID yakhe leyo lo sayinako etenesifakazelo sakhe sekuhlala, kuba utility bill ungayiphatha noma kube incwadi yemphakathi la uhlala khona. Lokunye lesikudingako ke kwale club kuba ngumthethosisekelo phecelezi constitution yaleyo club ukuthi nivumelene ngani le club uyakubona. Bese lokunye lesikudingako kuba ama minutes alowo mhlangano la nivumelene khona ngaloko lenivumene leyo club akulo mthethosisekelo wena. Kuba ngiloko nje kuphela kwenta ukuthi ube ne-account eNedbank.
So kungaba nema members la ngetulu kudlula ngisho 50 100 as long as laba nje labathathu labasayinile bakhona.
Yes, akukho limited ukuthi ama members ngaba nangakhi, but nje sibuka naba labathathu labasayina ngibona labaphatha leti fakazelo tabo tekuhlala nalama IDs kuphela.
So ngiyathi ukuthi vele nasikhuluma nje ngemabhange babeshabangu vele sikhuluma ngetimali, charges, ama fees nani. Ingabe le account lena yini mina letang attract mhlambe ngifuna ukuvula Stokvel account ngathi indaba tema charges anganani ama charges nangabakhona asebenza kanjani, withdrawal charges asebenza kanjani ama charges.
Lolu hlobo ke lolu bhuku Lulu silwentele eMaswati nanga lesiwafunza ngamaphepheni ukuthi nyalo nje kuta sikhathi sa December behlukaniselana timali tabo leya bathi save umnyaka wonke. Sendele bona ke lokuthi bazuze kule account yase Nedbank. Le account yethu le ide ema charge kude nje sanhlobo ema charge, kepha ke siyakuvumela ukuthi ukhiphe kabili ngenyanga nesota ukhipha kwesithathu nangetulu sesiyaqala ke siyakucharge ke nozothi awufuna ngoba sine lapha sifuna lokuthi emaswati afunze lokonga kepha nozothi awukhipha ngetulu kwakabili sesiyaqala ke siyakucharge lapha sikucharge 30 rand ngenyanga futhi ke le account yethu lena siyakhona nokuthi sikhone kuyibona utibonele wena banikati be account bakhona ukutibonela ku internet kungqondo mshini bayikhona ukutibonela ukuthi vele ema savings abo ahamba kanjani
bakhona ukubona kule app
internet
banking internet banking all right so mhlambe nasisabuka nje ama benefits because ngibuye ngakubona sibuka ama benefits ale stokvel I think lokunye lesikuvile ngiyoma charges ukuthi vele awasila la steep kakhulu ingabe nasikhuluma izinto zabentabo tendalo ukuthi ngabe itala kanganani and ingisitha kanganani le ndalo kuyendeka ukuthi mhlambe ngi withdraw le ndalo isale imadlana khona kule account
Lulu njengoba sashido babeshabangu la ukuthi it's a free account so le ndalo ayisiyo lengakanani lengathi kumbe iyabonakala because njengoba sisho ukuthi ayinama charges which is the benefit of having le account lena so sithi njengoba sicile ukuthini sithi emaswati akasave le mali more than anything indalo ikhonyana kodwa akusiyo lengathi ingakanani akusiyo lengakanani
okay
because it's a savings account
it's a savings account it's a savings account all right mhlawumbe nasibuye nje kuwe babeshabangu le kulama members kukhona ukuthi vele mhlawumbe nitawufuna ukuthi kube ngama members la ngemaswati kuphela noma kukhona ilunga litawuthi sinetihlobo South Africa ngiyabekisa nato tifuna kuba ingcenye yale club savings account kuvumelekile indloko
kuvumelekile Lulu kusho ukuthi kulama members side ukuthi side umkhawulo ukuthi uLswati sivumele nje wonke umuntu lofuna kuvula le account eNetbank ungayijoina noma ungasilo uLswati even nalaba sayina noba ngasilo uLswati bavumelekile ukuthi bengita abatovula lo hlobo lolibhuku eNetbank
ingabe vele ivame kanganani nje le account lena mhlawumbe nje kuveta sithombe kulaba officer ku sign up nje lamuhla lokho
ivamile kakhulu Lulu ivame kakhulu ikakhulu nje etinhlanganweni kungaba boma ke labatendela labafuna ukuthi sevela etinhlanganweni tabo kepha sebafuna ukuthi sevele eceleni siyabavulela noma nje esonfeni nesemasonfeni sivamile kakhulu khanza sokune group yaboma ke o yabo babe bafuna ukuthi sevele nabo eceleni siyabavulela le account leyo nase family nje emndenini ningayenda i-club savings account la ndisevela khona ningumndeni bese kusi ekupheleni kweminyaka bese seniyakhona ukuthi nidistribute ikakhulu labanye bayentela nje ukuthi babeke imali ukuthi njengoba nje nyalo siya ekuvuleni kwetikolwa lapho khona abantu badzinga imali eningi khona labanye bayisevela nje ukuthi sina asithinsi sitayisebenzisa nosho ukuthi sokufuna siyifunele tidzingo tesikolo
ngibuye ngako nje khosi kubuta lokuthi ngabe kule club savings account malunga ayakhona ukuthi athathe mhlambe i-loan nokuthi mangaba yakhona le repayment option ibang how many months noma ke how many years
amalunga awakhona ukuthatha i-loan kule club savings account awakhona ukuthatha i-loan against it kodwa na unayo nje i-personal account yakho ulunga ungakhona ukuthi ube uthathe particular hayi la kule account ye club savings
okay so mhlambe ngibuye ngako futhi babeshabangu nangabe sekwendeka nje malunga mhlambe sekuba khona lokucabana ikakhulu kade nje laba labathathu labasayinile sebafuna kuvala i-account ni advise nini Netbank nisheshe bavalise le account kwendeka kanjani ithina procedure
esikhathini lesiningi njengoba akhulumile umlingani wami la Khosi ukuthi sicela umthetho sisekelo lo mthetho sisekelo nathi lo silamlaka ukuthi silamla kanjani nesenicabene kufuna nikuyishonini la kulo mthetho sisekelo ukuthi leningasaboni ngalisolinye senifuna kuvale nisenifuna kulivala lelibhuku nenda kanjani kuye kwenteke vele esikhathini lesiningi ukhanze usibede babathathu batovula libhuku kepha sokuqhamuka mnye sothi ufuna kuvala kuye kube likhuni ke sine silibhange lase Netbank usesithatha imali sinike umuntu lo sesinika wena kanti naqhamukani babathathu ikakhulu nje sicicizelela kulo mthetho sisekelo ukuthi chazani ukuthi neningasaboni ngalisolinye nitayihluka nitalivala kanjani libhuku lena
Yalosho ukuthi mhlambe na kushona one of them again niphinze nibuyele kule constitution.
Sibuyela kwi-constitution babese basibhalela ema-minutes ekusho ukuthi so ushonile zibandle besayina naye emhlanganweni lomkhulu sebasinike nangu ukuthi sesitawusayina naye sithathe yena si-update ke sine lifayela lethu ebhange.
Okay. Because ngalokho sivele kulamalanga vele ebugebengu bunenge biyenteka bamfuma ihla yonke abahlala bacabanga ukuthi namhla ke sitawuganga ngani ingabe niyayibuka yini indzaba ye-source of funds ngibekise nje namalunga njengoba ngisho ukuthi bangaba baningi baze bafike kubo 1000 niyabuka yini ukuthi mhlambe lelo lunga lelo lithatha aphi le mali because ngiyabekisa nje kungaba nelunga litawufaka ngibekisa 100,000 niyalandzelela nibuka ukuthi le mali echama ngoba lo munye umfu mhlamba kungaba indlela ukuthi washa ngayo le mali yakhe ngale club savings account.
Siyabonga Lulu. Silibhange siyayibuka le timali njengoba sakhulumile babeshabangu la ukuthi kunemthetho sisekelo. La kulomthetho sisekelo ke le club iyasho ukuthi imali lesingatigatsa silibhange kungaba ngenathi imali etingaka ema contributions per member seyingaka. Kodwa nasesicala sesibona ngazuthi sekune kuba kungabonakala ukuthi imali idingena kanjani sesilapho ke sesiyabuka khona ukuthi le account lena ihamba njani vele ngoba bebathi batawufaka nayo imali nayo kodwa imali sesiyibona ngelanga ayisahambisani nale besivumene ngako nasicala kuvula le account.
But kunangabe ikhona le proof ukuthi okay ngiyabeke sasithengisa imoto amount lethi test awucela kufaka kule nanga lokho kukhona nikendeka endlela. Sabafuna kuyibeka bathengisa imoto bafuna kuyibeka ngibekisa nje ivule ngamalunga emndeni sabathengisa imoto ngiyabekisa sabafuna le mali kuyifaka lapha kule account yabo bathi bekhona le evidence ukuthi vele nayi na sithengisa imoto.
Ngicabanga ukuthi lokusala ko lapha Lulu nawe embukela emakhaya ngilokuthi nokwendeka mhlambeni sokutawungena imali lenkulu kunale lebensitenda inawo into osibikela ebhange ngoba le ma systems lesinawo sahlakaniphile kakhulu abasa ayaflega lokuthi hey nathi ndawufaka 100,000 sokungena emillion ngiyabekisa sokuvele sokutaba suspicious ukuthi le mali seyibuya ngoba akusasiyo le nathi ndayifaka nini siyanxusa ke mhlambeni sicela kubalekela ukuthi nosokwendeka sokutawungena lenkulu kakhulu kule nathi nini ndayifaka nisivakashele ebhange soxoxisana stokhona nokuthi sathu kusinesho ukuthi mhlawumbe sokunembuzo lechamuka wona nathi sikhona kuyiphendula.
Okay. So la ku withdrawing ingabe kudinga ukuthi vele ngivele ebhange noma ngiyakhona kutendela like internet banking mhlawumbe increase i limit ngiyabekisa noma vele kudinga ukuthi kune procedure like kumele ukuthi siyosayina emaphepha khona ebhange.
Njengoba sibekile ekucaleni ukuthi inhlobo tekukhipha le mali kukabili kungaba ngiyona le internet banking akudinga ukuthi uvule ebhange uyatendela wena ekhaya kakho noma ehovisini lakho la ukhona khona bese kuthi ke nosho ukuthi ukuthi ufuna cash imali lephathekako vele kufuna ukuthi ke laba labathi abatosayina bazivakashele ebhange batogcwalisa emaphepha lebatawuvele fastelweni bayithole khona le mali yabo labayicelile.
Shabangu kwagcina nje ngabe labafise ukuxhumana nani kubo social media ithi athina ama handles enu.
Siyabonga Lulu lapho ufuna kusivakashela bangazivakashela etinkundleni tethu tekuxhumana ka LinkedIn ka Facebook na ka Twitter uyangena umlaleli ethi Nedbank Eswatini utawukhona kungena asithole khona bese futhi ndabafuna kuzivakashela uyokhuluma na bank bangazivakashela ko onke amagatsha ethu la khona lapha eSwatini.
Okay, Khosi kokugcina futhi nawe kulabo nje labatawufisa ukuxhumana nani ngelicingo bashaya iphi nombolo?
Siyabonga Lulu. Uyakhona ukusishayela Nedbank ku help desk line yethu lethi 32781000.
All right, thank you so much kakhulu mbukeli sokuthi vele ukuthi club savings account imalula kanganani kuyivula. You just need 1000 emalangeni kanti ke ma members la ngayijoinela aqala ku minimum of 3 kuya edulu kufaka abantu kepha ke xhumana nabo base Nedbank Eswatini saselikhe futhi abe khona manje. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the program. The governor of the Central Bank of Eswatini, Dr. Mnisi, has given a stern warning to individuals suggesting that certain people are exerting undue influence over the Central Bank of Eswatini on different matters, especially regarding the exponent issue. The governor minced no words, stating that there is no way the central bank can be controlled. The governor shared this during a sit-down interview with business journalist Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla on the annual financial stability review and issues affecting the local economy.
Governor, welcome to Nedbank Business Watch. We are honored to have you here. Yesterday, you delivered the annual financial stability report, and you have highlighted that the corporate sector, which are large companies as well as small and medium enterprises, experienced some financial distress, especially in the period of June last year to June this year. We saw that the corporates made losses to the value of 20.4 billion emalangeni, and small and medium enterprises made losses which stood at 23.3 billion emalangeni. What impact could this have on the economy?
Okay, I think what we must appreciate is that the effects and the impact of COVID are still lingering on. Many businesses, small, medium, and large businesses, are still on a recovery from the COVID effects. So the growth is there, but as we were doing the assessment, we realized that profitability has come down. So we are hoping that with the ease of monetary policy, which is central bank, as you know, during coming from COVID, inflation was shooting up, but inflation has now been coming down, and it has resulted in the central bank easing the monetary policy. We are hoping that these corporates have been geared or have been borrowing money, so the cost of their borrowing will be coming down, and in the long term, the transmission effect of this monetary policy will be felt by these corporates and small medium enterprises. So that is one. Our observation was that in terms of their revenue growth, it is there, but their operational expenses, which includes cost of borrowing, are the areas where there was high impact. So we are, as a financial sector, we are watching this, because if corporates and small medium enterprises are not growing, it will have negative consequences to the economic growth of the country. So we are hoping to work together here with the commercial banks to ensure that there is stimulation and there is growth. And we are watching, more importantly, non-performing loans, because that is also an indicator of financial distress.
Governor, in your report, you have said the aggregate financial stability index has risen from 0.02 to 0.50, and yet isibonile timali temaswati tilahleka ka exponent nakuletinye tinkapani lapha eveni kuso sona lesikhathi lesi lapho khona nende lo mbiko. Does that reflect on the index?
I think we need to understand that the financial stability review is an overarching report, and it aggregates the entire financial services sector. So we look at the banking sector, and we look at the total assets and deposits that are exposed in the banking sector, which now is just close to 30 billion. And when you look at that overall and you say, are there any systemic risks that have arisen that are threatening this deposit base or this asset base? And we have seen that there's been improvement. There have been good regulatory, supervisory processes that have been put in place. When you come to the non-banking sector, I think I referenced a total of about 50 billion of pension funds and provident funds monies. And of course, the overall non-banking sector is about 100 billion. Now, when you look at overall again, and you look at the exposure specifically for Exponent, we are talking about 340 million. And I'm not downplaying the significance of this money that is currently at risk. But when you take it broadly and contextually, it does not present a negative systemic risk to the financial services sector because of the overall exposure in the non-banking sector. The concern of Exponent and the drive to get this money back from whosoever lost it is definitely there because it is lost savings from the economy. But when you are going to the actual index, it has shown that we have improved through our processes, through our regiment and regulatory frameworks that we have put in place.
The central bank governor is mandated to regulate and supervise the banking sector. What initiatives are you doing to ensure that the financial sector in the country is stable?
Well, among them, the first one that I mentioned is that we are introducing a macro-prudential policy. And that basically says it's a framework that comprises a set of regulatory measures and tools designed to safeguard the stability of the entire financial system. So basically what it says is that we don't want the central bank, the FSRA, or any other player to operate in isolation. It must be an integrated framework. The second one was enhancing institutional collaboration. It is very clear that the FSRA must work closely with the central bank. We've got a memorandum of agreement to work together. We need to enforce it, take it beyond just exchange of information, but get to even discipline in systems and monitoring. So that was the second one. The third one is legislative enhancement. We are reviewing our central bank order into a bill, our financial institutions bill, so that we are more modern, and the financial stability bill. So all these are put in place. And the last one is the Deposit Protection Fund. Here, the central bank is working. For now, we have started with the banking sector, putting together a fund so that depositors, in the event of a risk in the banking sector, or maybe one of the banks is collapsing, we have the buffers, or we have created the safeguard so that we can take care of depositors. In this regard, I am not talking about the whole total deposits of that particular bank. Deposit insurance schemes are always there to protect especially the smaller savings that are there and are vulnerable. That's what normally happens when you've got the deposit scheme. And then the last one, as an initiative, is continue working with the IMF to provide technical support so that we have got a world-class financial stability review in the Kingdom of Eswatini.
We are already towards the end of the year, Governor. What is it that the central bank has done this year to boost economic growth, and what are your plans for the next coming year?
With regards to where the bank is heading to, we believe that we have initiated some crucial projects like the domestic switch. We have got the new complex that is coming. We have worked with government to set the ZA bond. We have worked with government to, with the Minister of Finance in particular, to achieve an improved rating by Moody's. All these are big structural, fundamental initiatives that I believe have created a solid base to build on. Our position as a central bank is that we are going to continue to play our part in fulfilling the mandate of price stability and financial stability. also maintaining our independence. We believe in the coming years that investing in our people to drive all these initiatives so that we realize superior results will be the key focus. The other area, and it's becoming much more pronounced, is the issue of climate change, sustainability, and also having ESG as part of our strategy and reporting on ESG. So these are the key initiatives that we are thinking about. And then lastly, driving an integrated regulatory landscape in the kingdom so that we are always on the alert that there are no risks that are permeating the financial services sector. And the last one that we believe is going to be a focus area is always keeping an eye on cyber risk so that the system, the banking system, as we're introducing the payment system, it is protected and our banking system and financial services is not porous to any cyber risk attack.
You have just jogged my mind, Governor, about the issue of Exponent. There has been a concern that the central bank is now being controlled. What can the Governor say to that, especially because the central bank can be seen to be controlled by anybody?
Let me make it very clear. The central bank is not going to react on media and whatever people are writing. We have our mandate drawn from the Constitution, which clearly specifies how the central bank operates. We also have our Act, we also have our Financial Institutions Act. With these instruments, the independence of the central bank is well pronounced. I want to make it very clear, nobody will ever coerce or direct or point what the central bank should do. The central bank operates within its mandate, executes its mandate on the confines of what it is provided for. When you come to these matters that have been reported to in the media that are casting doubt on the operations of the central bank, that is very, very unfortunate. The first one being that even those activities were not within the central bank. These were totally outside the central bank. The central bank was only brought in to carry out procurement of a service provider to do the independent review of what happened at Exponent and all other associated entities. On completion of that assignment, that report was presented to the owner, the Ministry of Finance. So drawing and pulling the name of the central bank into all this is very unfortunate, and we want to caution the public that this must not be seen as a means of gaining public opinion to give a determination of direction on what must be done in getting these individuals and corporates that took the money of Eswatini. This must be made clear. The central bank will work with the Ministry of Finance and the Financial Services Regulatory Authority to make sure that these funds are brought back. And let us not allow anybody to start denting the processes of the central bank, because the central bank is there to protect the whole financial system. And once you start pointing holes on the process of the central bank, you are casting doubt. And the intention is so that should there be any claim or made to the central bank, we become lenient. No, we are not going to do that. We are going to stand our ground and pursue whosoever was involved in taking the funds of the central bank. We are guided by the mandate of the central bank and will stick to that. And we are available to support the ministry and to support the FSRA in achieving the goal of the recovery of this Mali Eswatini.
Thank you so much, Governor, for those valuable insights, and thank you for joining us on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
All right, so that was Dr. Phil Mnisi making it clear that the Central Bank of Eswatini is not being controlled by anyone. After the break, Toba Kameta joins us for today's financial markets. Welcome back. It's 10 minutes before 3 o'clock. Before we end our program today, let's take a look at today's financial markets with Toba Gamete from Nedbank Eswatini. Very good afternoon, Toba. Thank you for coming through. Let's start with the U.S. markets. What do the U.S. What do the futures of the U.S. stock look like today, following that the inflation numbers were released today?
Thank you, Lulu, and good afternoon to you and the viewers. So we are expecting the U.S. to release their CPI or inflation numbers for November 2024. The market is expecting inflation to tick up to 2.7% from 2.6%. But we did, however, receive inflation numbers from South Africa this morning, which showed that inflation grew by 0.1% year on year, from 2.8 to 2.9 in November.
Okay, so let's just take a look at currencies today. Just firstly, take a look at the rand. It seems the rand has gained a bit of strength today. Why is that so?
Right, so when you look at our currencies, the rand has gained a bit of strength. You can see it's trading at 17.8575 against the dollar, at 18.7354 against the euro, and 22.7365 against the Great British Pound. So it's driven by, firstly, as I've mentioned, that inflation numbers came out of South Africa this morning. So that number looked or showed that inflation increased, which then boost the strength of the rand. But more significantly, it's driven by the increase in the price of gold. Gold has risen over the last couple of days. So as South Africa being one of the major exporters of gold, then if the price of gold goes up, then that boosts the South African economy and ultimately the rand. The increase in the price of gold is mostly, firstly, on demand from firstly the Chinese central bank, which started stocking up or piling up on gold after almost 6 months of not doing that. So with all the uncertainty that's going to happen with the coming in of the new US president and all of that.
Yeah, so I see the euro is in the red. Why has it depreciated? It has depreciated, right?
Yes, so the euro is in the red a bit. So it has depreciated significantly, I think, over the last couple of days. So it's a couple of things. Firstly, economic activity has slowed down in the region, so in the eurozone, and we also have political instability in big countries like France and Germany, also contributing to that. But more significantly, the market is pricing in a rate cut for the Thursday meeting of the European Central Bank. So they expect that rates in Europe are going to go down. So hence that affects the euro. Okay,
just before we get into commodities, let's talk about China. China has plans to boost their economic growth. What are their latest plans?
Right, so China announced, I think, yesterday that they will be loosening their monetary policies going into the new year as a stimulus to counter prospects of the tariffs or increases that the coming in of President-elect Trump is going to bring into their space. So to try and boost economic activity and to make sure that the economy is active and growing, then they have decided to sort of depreciate the Chinese yuan and also just loosen their monetary policies in a bid to counter that.
All right, so let's just move on to commodities. Firstly, we take a look at oil prices. I've noted that they have increased by at least 1%. Why is that? How did that happen?
All right, so oil is up significantly, 0.75% at $76.16 per barrel. Firstly, it's due to the anticipated demand that is going to come out of China. Okay. So with economic activity, then it means more demand in terms of energy to drive the economic activity. So with China being one of the major importers of oil, then the market is anticipating that demand will increase, hence the boost in the price of oil. Obviously, notwithstanding the conflict in the Middle East that's still unresolved.
Yeah, and of course, gold is doing well. I think you've highlighted that gold is doing well today.
Yes, it is. There's demand for gold. As I've mentioned, that we're expecting inflation numbers from the US today. So with uncertainty, investors tend to then look at safer options for their money. So if you're not sure where interest rates are going to land, you then look for alternatives that are at least more stable for you to invest in. So gold is doing well in that regard. As well as the Chinese central bank piling up on gold or buying gold after 6 months of not doing so. So that demand has sort of shifted the price of gold to the levels that we're seeing.
Okay, so let's take a look at equities today. The S&P 500 seems to be been doing well since the week started, but today it seems like there's a slowdown. Why is there a slowdown today?
All right, so the S&P 500 has sort of been doing good, but mostly it has been driven by third quarter earnings. So apologies for that. Third quarter earnings for the last quarter. Most of the companies have been introducing or have been reporting rather good numbers. But at the same time, the coming in of President Trump has boosted U.S. stocks. These policies are more aligned to what market favors, so that has sort of boosted the S&P 500 or the U.S. stocks in general.
All right. No, thank you, Toba. The FTSE 100 is in the red. What's happening there?
So with the FTSE, it's more on the slowdown economic activity in Europe. We've seen inflation has gone down significantly in the region, so there is quite, economic activity has slowed down for most of the sectors. So that then will mean that even their stocks and all of that will sort of then also simmer. But at the same time, particularly today, it's more on the uncertainty that's in the market, the economic data that is coming out, and market just having those jitters to make decisions on where to put their money until they can see and get clues of what the future looks like.
All right, thank you for that analysis, and that's it for last segment of Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for watching. We'll go for an ad break. When we come back, we close off the show with Sfiso.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Nedbank Business Watch. It has been a great show and an insightful one.
Yeah.
The developments happening under the Central Bank of Eswatini, the payment switch system, and the governor of the central bank being very frank about the exponent issue. Very interesting. You heard it here first, and I'm sure other publications will follow tomorrow with the leading headlines on this story that you've heard here first. Thank you for staying with us. You've also learned about the market analysis, understanding the numbers that matter today. This is the end of the show. We hope that you're going to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.